Hello, this is Chandra Crawford, and this is my exploratory unit, and I chose to do an exploratory unit using Minecraft. So this is my first page, and actually, this is more of a 7th or 8th grade level, probably an 8th grade level for the challenge assignment that I have to go along with this, but 7th and 6th grade could do it. The purpose of my exploratory unit is I wanted to come up with something that would be fun and I know that kids enjoy, and they can play the game, but what they're going to get out of it is they learn about survival. There's a big engineering and building aspect to this game that I really wanted to concentrate on, as well as learning about different ways of farming and collecting minerals and such. It just touches on a lot of topics and it brings them together in a way that the kids would really enjoy. But really, I wanted to concentrate on the engineering and the building aspect of it. Alright, so here is my unit. My week 1 is just basically learning the basics of the game. So day 1 through 5 is, your basic controls, learning about how you need to survive in the game, how to collect materials, the bed and shelter that you need to have, and different aspects of the starving in the game. Week 2 is about the necessities, so you got creating your tools and weapons, your mining, finding better materials, exploration, and then your armor and the weapons at the end as well. And week 3 is all about making your life easier. You got your farming with your wheat. I put wheat fields as an example, but the students are allowed to do something else, which I'll explain a little bit more in a minute. You have your farming. You're introducing your redstone, which is what you kind of use to create like wires, and it's what you would catch on fire if you're like creating a torch. And then there's introducing pistons. These are the 2 things that you really need to make a mechanism or a machine in the game, which is a big part of what I want them to do. And day 5 is creating the basic mechanisms. Day 4, week 4, they get the whole week to work on the world and create what they want to create once they've actually learned and gone through all the basics. And at the end, they're going to present the world to the class, and I actually have some requirements throughout the different lessons that I want them to have in their world, as they need to have a shelter that can support life, meaning that they can survive in it overnight, because in the game at night is when all like the enemies and stuff would come out, so they need to be able to lock themselves up without having any holes in their walls. They can't leave a door open, that kind of thing. And I need to see that they can survive in game time at least 1 week, which is probably, I think it's like 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes or so in the actual game, but they need to be able to do that. I also want them to have created one mode of transportation. There's different things you can make. You can make bicycles, boats, a mine cart. It all takes a different knowledge of being able to engineer it to make it work with the redstone and the pistons. I also want them to make some kind of basic mechanism, whether it's just like an automatic door opener or a light switch. Just show me that they can use it. And I also want them to have like different types of weapons and stuff to show that they like played the game and progressed along with class. Also, there is an alternative challenge for this. There is really advanced and like really complicated machines that you can make, and this is why I said this is more of an 8th grade level, because kids love Minecraft. I mean, there are kids in my elementary placements that are just crazy about it. And so I know that some of the kids that would be into this unit would already know what they're doing, and I thought maybe going through over the basic units and such might be kind of boring for them. So I thought that I would do this alternative challenge. They, instead of going along with the class and learning how to survive and learning the basics and creating the simple machines, they can use the class time to create a Rube Goldberg device in their game, and they will have to show me all the steps they did all the steps that they performed along the way. So first week I want them to sketch out and plan their idea. The second week I want them to collect all the materials they need and get ready for their idea. And then weeks 3 and 4, I actually want them to put their idea together and show their experiments. It doesn't necessarily have to be 100% successful, but I want them to show progress and the thought and the ideas that they put behind it. So when they show it to class, they see the success or fail, they can show how it worked. And this is actually a big part of engineering, and they can take this challenge on. It is a little bit more complicated. It is a lot more harder because of the intricacies that are in it. But if they are that far along in their Minecraft and stuff, I thought it'd be nice for them to have a little bit of a option here, just so I can differentiate the instruction a little bit. And actually right there on my bottom is a link to some of the different tutorials on how to go about the Rube Goldberg machines in there if you'd like to check it out. You could also YouTube it. There are some pretty cool ones, some videos. Alright, so this is the first week 1, day 1 My free basics and controls. This day is just for them to run around the world, get used to their controls so they can understand how to actually work the game, how to move around, how to switch between tools and weapons if they have any on them. It's just so they can explore and get a good feel for it. Day 2, we'll talk about survival needs. So I'd want to start the class. There'd be actually no gameplay this day. I want to start them out with a KWO. I want them to write down, like, what do they know about the game? What did they learn from yesterday? Because during the game, they more likely have died or starved or got chased by something. And then I want to ask them what they thought their problems for survival were. So they could write down about the starving and the dying and the bad guys. And then I want them to talk about what they think they should do to do that. Like, if they're starving, like, what do they think they should do to get food? If they're getting attacked, what do they think they should do to protect themselves? Where do they think they should hide? And then as a class, I want them to plan together on what they think they should do and how they're going to execute it. I want them to write down their ideas. We'll work together and make a list. I don't actually have any gameplay plan for that day. Day 3, collecting materials. Oh, sorry. Okay, and then day 3, so we're actually going to get into the game. So we raised the question, how are they going to build a shelter to survive overnight? So what material would you need to build blank? So in our case, it'd be a shelter. So then we discuss houses are made out of wood. Okay, well, where would you get wood? Then they would answer, a tree or whatever. So then we'll find ways to get trees. And the game's made at the very beginning to add that you actually punch trees to get the wood because you don't have any weapons yet, and you actually need the wood to make your first set of weapons, which is kind of unrealistic. But the fact is that they problem solved and got there themselves. They get the wood, and then there's actual tutorial in the game that'll take them through the different steps to build things. And right down there is a little picture of all the different types of materials and stuff basic materials that they can collect to build things. 4 is that they'll realize once they build their shelter and stuff, they need a bed. The bed serves a couple purposes. You have to sleep. It also makes the night go by faster, so you're not just hanging out in a random shelter waiting for the day. And it also is how you save in the game. So the bed is a very important aspect. And you need to get wool, I believe, from some sheep nearby, and you have to collect some more wood from the trees. So basically, it's another thing that they have to create and build. So this day 4 is really for them to max out their shelter, make it bigger, and have their bed. There's also other things that they'll figure out that they need, as far as like a stove and a oven where they can smelt things. There's an anvil where they can build like stronger weapons and such, and you need all that room for that in your shelter. So it's very important for them to plan ahead and then design and build. Day 5 is starvation. At this point, they haven't starved already. It is very real, so we need to discuss about where the food came from. Where does food come from in general in life? So they know that food comes from cows and chickens and pigs. They know it comes from plants, okay? So if that's where you find it in real life, where can we get it in the game? Well, they might know where some cows and pigs and stuff are. And then when you go over there and you actually kill the animals, you get raw meat. And like, you can eat raw meat, but it doesn't really help your health points out because eating does increase your health. So then we talk, what do we do to raw meat today? We cook it. Okay, well, why do you need to cook it? You need the oven, and this is where it all comes into play. They need to learn to cook their food so they can eat it and get more life-sustaining points from it. There's also an apple there because there's apple trees and stuff, and that's a little cake that you make eventually in the game if you get all the right ingredients, which is a little bit harder because you have to grind wheat and stuff to get flour. Let me go in talking about tools and weapons, things that might make life easier if they had an axe to cut down the tree, or if they had a shovel to dig in the ground to get some of the carrots or something out. These are the different weapons that they can make, and it's basically just learning about the different tools and weapons that are available to them, how they can go about making it. The second day is actually about mining. This is kind of an important day because they need the shovel. There's also dynamite available if they've got lucky and found some in an open cavern. But there are caverns all over the place. You can just dig down. See the picture right there? It shows the different type of minerals. That blue is diamond. There's some gold. I think there's some cobalt. That red is redstone, which is important. We'll talk about it later. But the point is, you dig down to the ground, the earth. There's different layers. There's just dirt and rock as well. You dig down. You collect the things that you dig through. You need to light torches and such on your way so you have light because it is dark because you are underground. You collect these different minerals, these different things. You can smelt them to make them into stronger things, and then you use those stronger materials like a gold brick, whatever you're making, into making things that you might need to survive. I want them to notice the different layers as they dig. Like, I want them to realize what they're collecting and think about how they can use what they're collecting. How can they make that better? So instead of just having gold ore, how can they make it better? Well, they can make a gold brick. Or if they have cobalt ore, what can they do? I put down there, note one of their requirements for their in-world is they have to have at least one cavern where they have either excavated or know how to get to. So when they're showing the world, they can show like where they are getting their minerals and stuff from. And then there's better minerals. So they need to. So eventually they'll learn that the deeper they dig, the better the minerals. Because like one of the top minerals in the game is actually diamond, because it's the hardest. So you can make like your best weapons and tools and armor out of it. So I put on there like, why do you think the hardest mineral you can think of? That metal. What kind of metals can you find? It's really about them learning. And then that's the periodic table of Minecraft. It's really about them learning about the different minerals, the different things that the earth provides that they can change and make that's required for life, because they don't put a lot of thought into the things they use every day and with all the effort that goes into it. And Minecraft is forcing you to build it from the ground up to really see how things are there, and they need to engineer the way that they come about it. And then day 4, exploration. This is just a day so they can explore the world a little bit more now that they know what they're doing and they have the tools that are at their fingertips, and they can really find some good caverns and really build up their materials and save them. Alright, so then as they're doing it, they're realizing caverns, there are all kinds of bad guys and stuff. So there is the hardships of mining and exploring away from your shelter. If you're too far away, you might get caught in the night and die. If you dig too deep, there's skeletons and stuff that do attack you. So they need to learn about building armor and protecting themselves. And that's actually different types of armor that are down there. That blue one is the diamond armor. And then we're going to talk about having a food source other than just foraging and how much time it takes, because you're constantly needing food. And we'll talk about, so what I want to do is talk about how we farm corn and stuff. So the teacher, as an example, will model a basic wheat field and how you can have a wheat field and you can plant your wheat and grow it, and then you can cut it down and then you can store it, and you'll constantly have wheat as a product. There's other plants that you can do that with. That's good. And then there's taming animals, and then I will do an example with a pig. But there's cows, which I think you just don't actually domesticate the cow, but there's wolves, there's chickens, there's all kinds of things that you can grow, and you can actually breed them and get more. So that way you have a constant supply of meat. There's actually some cool machines that people make with the pistons and such that the animals just automatically pop out, like the chicken eggs. They'll hatch, then they'll automatically go into the oven and cook your meat for you, so you just have a collection of meat. Alright, so then we're into day 3, and this is when we begin talking about redstone. Redstone is very important, especially for their end assignment when they'll have to build their mechanisms. It's what you catch on fire, it's what you create your wire with, it's what you get torches with. Redstone is what you need to catalyze any of your basic mechanisms in the game. And we'll talk about it, and I can demonstrate a couple of the mechanisms with the light switches and door openers. And pistons, that's actually a piston. The pistons are used to push and pull things. So you need to have the redstone set up to a switch, set up to a piston. You flip the switch, it turns the piston on, and you need the pistons used to set things in motion. So if you're like creating a mine cart, or if you're creating a machine that makes things, it's hard to explain, but you use the pistons to push and pull, and they're actually the very next important thing when you are creating your mechanisms. So then week 3, day 5, we're going to build the basic mechanisms. So here's the real part of the engineering. I will go through step by step of minecarts to show them, and then I'll let them know that in their in-world they have to have at least one basic mechanism, and they have to have one mode of transportation. So if they did go ahead and create the minecart with me in class, this will actually fit both of those. But they can create a boat, they can create the door openers, like I said, they can create a wood chopper, just anything, as long as it shows that they use pistons and the redstone and understand it. And I also want them to explain their mechanisms and how they come about the idea. And then week 4 is just like I said, is all going to be free play, so they can better their machines. The more intricate their machine, the more points that they'll gain from it. The more creativity they show in the world, and like their house design, and they have to explain their process that they went behind planning it. And then at the end, they're actually going to present their worlds to class. So I'll let them like load up their game. We'll put it over a smartboard and let them run through it so they can show their class like their person and how they go through and the different things they created. If they did the Rube Goldberg machine this whole time, I would have them show the machine in the class. I'd let them run it a couple of times just to let them show it that it works. What's good about this is you can just load up and save your world, and you can actually go home and you can play it there as well, so they can work on it at home. The resources, materials that are actually required for this unit is that you need access to the game. There are resources out there to use Minecraft in the classroom as an educational tool that you can get it for cheaper, and you can buy it at like a classroom rate. Some kids might already own the game themselves, so it's really just a matter of getting the game and computer access. Kids all can play it on their Xboxes and stuff, but it's probably easiest to do it on their iPads if the school has iPads, the laptops if the school has laptops, as long as it's available there. And then there's my works cited. So that is my unit. I think it'd be cool. A little interesting look into engineering, a little interesting look into survival, and the different ways that the kids think and plan and how they need to plan ahead. It's really cool. I think it'll engage them. I enjoyed it. And thanks.